I was 14 years old when a friend of mine at the time told me to read a manga. And, well, that manga was Berserk from Kentaro Miura. I still have my very first copy. This is the 1996 edition, but I managed to find it on eBay and then start reading the manga from here. And well, it was and it is for me one of the greatest manga that I have ever read. Miniatures aren't my only hobby. I also read a lot of comic books, and especially mangas. And this year, the 6th of May, we have learned that the author, Kentaro Miura, passed away. And after I've learned that the author passed away, I was devastated. Because, well, every month I was hoping to read a new chapter, and I was hoping to get the new volume for my collection. And we don't really know if now the story is going to have a ending or not. I don't know that. I didn't want to do this video earlier because I don't like to actually use the author passing as an excuse to get easy views. I just let a month just pass, and now I decided to do this video, and it will be a little bit of a homage, because, well, I did want to do something special, and, well, the only thing that I can actually do as an homage is paint a miniature, because this is a thing that I am at least good at it. And so this video is going to be a homage to Kentaro Miura, in which I'm going to paint Gatsu, the main character of Berserk. The miniature is from Klukva Miniatures. If you want, I will leave the link down in the description. This is not a sponsored video, but I think this is a very cool model, so if you want, you can find it there. And well, I really don't know what else to say. Let's just go to the hobby table so that I can show you how to paint Gatsu from Berserk. I've started by priming the model with a black primer, since most of the parts are black or have a very dark undertone. Gatsu is, after all, called the Black Swordman for a reason. I decided to start with the skin tone, and for this I've used a mix of 3-part Cadian Fleshtone and 1-part Bugman's Glow. With this mix, I've painted the face, the neck, and the right arm. Then I've mixed in equal parts the color Leadbelcher from Citadel and matte black from Army Painter, and I started to paint the armor and the sword. There are plenty of leather parts placed around the model, such as the knife sheaths and the belt strap on his chest, and for the majority of them I decided to use the color Gorthor Brown. For the wood parts of the crossbow place on his left arm, I used the color Steel Legion Drab. For all the other leather parts, I've used the color Mahogany from Acryl. This because it will give the miniature a little bit of a variety of colors, maintaining the dark and obscure tones of the figure.
For the cape, I wanted to do a little variation by painting it with a very dark tone of a kind of a bluish grey. So for the job I decided to mix a dot of Abaddon black with some dark Reaper. For the bandages around his right arm and the handle of the sword and the knife, I used the color Khaki from Vallejo. Not all the metal parts of the model have a dark tone, like the throwing knives or the strap buckles. For them I have used the color Gunmetal from Vallejo. Now, this model represents Gatsu after the event of the eclipse in the story, so with a little bit of Celestra grey, I started to paint the undertone for the white hair. The last little touch is to paint the metal parts of the knife, and I wanted to paint it in a bronze tone, so I base coated with the color Balthasar Gold. Now it's time to wash the model. Starting from the skin, I've mixed a 50-50 mix of Reikland Fleshshade and Lahmian Medium. This way, all the deepest details of the face and muscle will be enhanced. Then with some Agrax Earthshade, I have washed the majority of the model. And as a final wash, I've used some Nuln oil to darken down his hair and his sword, the Dragon's Lair. Then it was time to layer in the model. Basically, I've used all the previous color and I thinned them almost to a wash consistency and repainted all the previously washed part, avoiding the most dark recesses of the figure to give the impression of light and shadows. For his hair, I've layered the part with a brighter color, in this case matte white from Army Painter. For the armor and the main body of the sword, I've used the color Steel from Darkstar to make it look even darker. And for the regular metal parts, like the knives, I used the color Graphite, also from Darkstar. Now, I wanted to bring out the edge of the sword with a very bright metal color, in order to achieve a heavy contrast with the main body of it. So I decided to paint it with the color Chainmail Silver from Vallejo. For the small wood parts, I've tinted them as always with a tiny bit of Inktense Wood from scale 75. Now for the highlights, I have started with a very thin down Ushabti bone color for all the strings and bandages bits. Then I've mixed the previously thinned down Ushabti bone with some Gorthor brown to highlight the light leather parts. And for all the other darker leather parts, I've mixed the color Mahogany with some Baneblade brown. For the skin tone, I have mixed 3 parts of Cadian Fleshtone with 1 part of Kislev flesh. And for the final highlight, I have used the color Dark Reaper for the cape. And after gluing the cape to the main body of the model, I've placed the miniature to a previously painted scenic base. Guts the Black Swordman is completed.
So I hope you liked this video, and well, if you haven't read Berserk, I highly suggest you go and read it, even though we are not going to have an ending for this story. Because I think it is one of the greatest manga of the century. I think the author was working on this manga for the last 30 years, so I think it's a great story, and you should absolutely read it, even though you don't read comic books or books. Just try and read the story. It is really, really worth it. And so, well, this is the end of the video. Thank you very much if you have stayed with me till now. And thank you, Kentaro Miura. Thank you very much for the story that you have created.